Hello, my name is Jim and welcome to the Tank Museum. I will be your tour guide today. If you would like to follow me, please. So then we start our tour at our realistic trench experience, which is very muddy, so for legal reasons I must tell you that there are walking boots in the back if you choose, but your teacher says you were told to wear old shoes that you don't mind getting trashed. So then follow me. As you can tell from this experience, that trench life wasn't very pleasant, especially if you had to live with it for 4 years with the war on, and it was very hard to advance behind enemy lines, and we couldn't get our armoured cars over these trenches, which left us back in the UK pondering how we could do it. Behind me is our answer. This is the Mark I, also known as Mother. Nothing had been built like it before. It weighed 31.4 tons and had two 6-pounder guns on its side sponsons. This vehicle demonstrated the iconic rhomboid design that gave British tanks their mobility. The high nose allowed the tank to cross tall obstacles and pull itself out of trenches if it toppled forward. The track design forced the armament into sponsons. Its lack of suspension meant a rough ride for the crew. So if you'd like to follow me into the next hall, please. Welcome to the World War II hall, and we're outside the Matilda II. This came into production in 1939 and weighed 29.7 tons, had a 2-pounder gun as its main armament. Commonly known as Matilda II, this infantry tank was far more capable vehicle than its predecessor. It had even heavier armour and a 2-pounder gun. In late 1940 and 1941, this Queen of the Desert dominated the battlefields in North Africa. Although outclassed by later German tanks, it fought on the Australian hands against the Japanese. It was the only British tank to serve throughout World War II. We are now at the Churchill I, which weighed 44 tons, and this specific version has the Churchill Mark VI turret with the 75mm gun, which is a vast improvement than the actual Churchill one, which only had a 2-pounder gun like the Matilda II. It was used in the desert and was famous for its ability to climb up seemingly impossible hills. We are now at the Kv2. This began production in 1939 and weighed 59.4 tons and had a main armament of 152mm howitzer gun. After facing a well-fortified Finnish bunkers during 1939 to 40, the Soviets were convinced that the tank armed with an artillery piece was vital, and the Kv2 was their initial response. It was a good concept, but it failed to work in practice. The Kv2's tool turret made the tank heavier, slower, and easier to target. Just 334 were built, production ending when the Germans invaded Russia in 1941. We are now at the Tiger I. This specific one is the Tiger 131, which was captured in Tunisia in April 1943, which is the first complete Tiger captured by the British Army. The Tiger I is famous for its fearsome reputation as the Tiger, with its 88mm gun, thick frontal armour and wide tracks and sheer size. It was a devastating weapon that struck terror into Allied forces on the battlefield. However, it was dodged by technical difficulties that compromised its tactical effectiveness. Hitler ordered the production of heavy tanks in May 1941. After the failure of the German weaponry to penetrate the armour of the Matilda II and the Shah B, the Tiger's boxy shape and layout were similar to the earlier German tanks, but on a huge scale, over twice the weight of the Panzer IV. The heavy tank was a stable platform for the accurate 88mm 36 gun, for which it carried 92 rounds. Its engine was upgraded from 650 horsepower to 700 horsepower during the production. Even so, the engine and transmission struggled to cope with the vehicle's weight, which grew from a planned 50 tons to 57.9 tons. The Tiger was rushed into service and suffered numerous teething problems. It was mainly used defensively rather than to punch through the enemy lines. As intended, the cost of the production and the shortage of skilled crews meant that it failed to have the desired impact on the battlefield. However, it had a huge psychological effect on the enemy and remains the most mythologized tank of the war. So then, if you'd like to follow me into the final room of our tour. We are now in the tanks of the present and the future section, and this shows the brand new development of the M1A2 Abrams tank. The American Abrams has been made in large numbers, some 11,000, and now equips 7 national armies. Nevertheless, it has been subject to the West's ambivalent attitudes to tanks. The dilemma of potentially needing them and seeing others still developing them versus the pressure on factory capacity amidst tightening military budgets. The Abrams was designed as a replacement for the M60 at the time, when Soviet bloc tanks were considered the most likely enemy. The first model was fitted with a version of the L7 105mm gun from the UK separate ammunition storage in a blowout compartment to protect the crew, and the gas turbine engine that was small and incredibly powerful, but twice as thirsty as an equivalent diesel engine. During a visit to the UK in 1973, an American team was shown the last developments of the Chobbenhoffen armor, and this led to the redesign of the tank to incorporate new protection system. Later, a new version of the laminate armor incorporating depleted uranium was fitted to the M1A1 model of the tank, doubling protection levels. The M1A1 was also fitted with the 120 German smoothbore gun, which gave it a tremendous advantage in the 1991 Gulf War. Furthermore, upgrades such as the new fire control system, commander's independent thermal viewer, the improved digital systems led to the M1A2 model. City fighting in Iraq War led to the development of the tank urban survival kit in 2006. These were fitted to the tanks in theatre to improve protection in built-up areas. Time and again, the Abrams has improved itself in battle, and is undoubtedly continue to be a potent weapon for decades to come.